Hello again, my name is Sam Robinson, and this is the Gnostic Syncretist channel and podcast, and I am the Gnostic Syncretist. Thank you for joining us tonight. Hope everyone is having a happy new year of 2026, and that you're not allowing the show on the news to rattle you or get you in too much of a poor emotional state. And today, the reason I mention that is because today we're going to talk about the nature of thought forms, desire forms, and the planes of causality, along with objective morality and natural law, and from the Rosicrucian perspective. So, most of our problems today stem from a lack of occult knowledge regarding thought form generation and creation, as well as desire form generation and manipulation. The dark occultists of the world absolutely understand the nature of these forces, the various planes that they manifest upon, and how to draw and channel them down into the manifested physical plane of effects in which we see all the bad stuff happening today. The majority of our problems are due to a lack of this occult knowledge of natural law of desire and thought form generation, and the grounding effect that must be created through a concentration of the will and energy upon those thoughts and desires, along with the fact that the rise of moral relativism and solipsism, which is the belief that there is no truth, there's only your truth, wholly stems from the lack of this knowledge of the occult laws of thoughts and desires, and has allowed these insidious ideas to percolate and become mainstream and popular, unfortunately, in our Western cultures today. Moral relativism and solipsism are everywhere. You're always hearing people say, that's your truth. This is my truth. That's their truth. That's those people's truth. There is no real truth. Everything's just perception. Perception is not reality. Reality is reality. And if you can convince people that perception is reality, then you can obviously manipulate their concepts of reality and reality itself, since they are unaware of the real nature of how this operates. There is objective morality. There are natural laws of the cosmos, cosmic laws, and the way to know this and understand these concepts is to study the planes of causality, because this is where this lack of knowledge all stems. These problems all stem from this lack of knowledge about the planes of causality and how it operates, and how it becomes the world of effects down here, but that's not paying any pertinent attention to the nature of thoughts and desires and how they affect change in the world, and how dark forces continually manipulate and generate enormous amounts of thought forms and desire forms to control us and to polarize us and to divide us and to enslave us. So this information comes from the Rosicrucian Cosmo Conception. Bear in mind, the world of thought, bear in mind all these different, I'm going to go over the different planes first. So, in this diagram, everything is sevened. Everything is in numbers of 7. So, you have the chemical world at the bottom, and that has 7 regions. You have the first is the lower region, the chemical region, which is gases, liquids, and solids. The second region, the higher region, is the etheric region, which contains the light ether. So the chemical ether, the light ether, or the life ether, the light ether, and the reflective ether. But here they give another extra descriptions. The fourth region is the chemical ether, medium for assimilation and excretion. The fifth region is the life ether, medium for propagation, the production of life. The sixth region is the light ether, the medium of sense perception. The seventh region is the reflecting ether, the memory of nature. That's why your memory of your life is contained in your ether body. That's why when you fall off a cliff or have a near-death experience but survive during that experience, you Your physical body's detached from your ether body during that moment, and that's why you see your life flash before your eyes, because you're now wholly in the ether body. So then you have the world of desires, the desire worlds or planes, which is also called the astral planes. The first region is of the passion and lower desires. The second region is impressionability, impressions. The third region is the region of wishes. Then there's one in the middle, the region of feeling, of interest or indifference. And then you have the higher region of desires. You have the fifth region, which is soul life, the sixth region, which is soul light, and the seventh region, which is soul power. And the entirety of the desire realm and desire world and desire forms that are generated within you, there is a mechanism of attraction and repulsion or interest and indifference that creates an affinity between you and the desire that was generated within you. And you do one or the other. You are either repulsed by it, or you are attracted to it, or you may just have slight interest, or you may be totally indifferent. And the way this plays out in the desire body through the desire world planes determines how we react to the desires around us. Now, you're not supposed to completely control your desires, but you can control your internal reactions to the ones that get created and self-generated, or the ones people are trying to generate within you from external forces. So the goal is to, in a sense, become slightly detached from when desires arise and try to actually determine your level of attraction and repulsion based on the quality, the type, and the nature of the desire that is forming within you. And you can either repulse it and toss it away, or be attracted to it and be drawn in towards that. And but this also plays into the thought form, the realm of thoughts, the mental realm, which is the next region. And the worlds of thought are broken up into two sections. The first section is the region of concrete thought. The second is the region of abstract thought. The first region is the archetypes of form. The second region is the archetypes of universal vitality. The third region is the region of archetypes of desire and emotion. The fourth region contains the archetypal forces in the human mind. It is the focal point, the focusing point through which spirit mirrors itself into matter. And thus it is an extremely important, significant place if you want to manipulate man on a large scale, or even on an individual scale. You have to target this fourth region of the world of concrete thought, where the focusing point between matter and spirit exists. Because you can push people further into material thinking and further away from spiritual thinking if you can control how we interact as populations in that region of concrete thought, that focal point, the crux of the entire system in a way. In the region of abstract thought, you have the fifth region contains the germinal idea of desire and emotion in animal and man. It is the abode of the third aspect of spirit in man. The sixth region contains the germinal idea of life in plant, animal, and man. And the seventh and highest region of abstract thought contains the germinal idea of form in mineral, plant, animal, and man. And above that, you have the world of life spirit, the world of divine spirit, the world of virgin spirits, and then the world of the divine. And each one of those has 7 subdivisions as well, but we're not going to go over those. But as you can see, everything is about 7. There's 7 subdivisions of the chemical region, 3 at the bottom, and then the 4 ethers. Then you have 7 subdivisions of the desire world, and 7 subdivisions of the world of thought or the mental plane, and on and on. 7 is the essential occult number. It's called sevening. It's the septenary nature of man, the septenary nature of the cosmos and evolution. These are recurring themes and thoughts throughout all real occult literature. It's none of the New Age nonsense, but it's obviously in like the Secret Doctrine, Rudolf Steiner's works from Rosicrucians, even in the maybe even in the Golden Dawn. So, but it's always important to bear that in mind continuously. The nature of the number 7, and also bear in mind how everything is a reflection, as above, so below. The different worlds reflect into aspects of the other planes. The different planes, like planes from the thought world and planes from the desire world and the chemical world, they all interact with each other. They're all interpenetrative, and they're not stacked one top of the other at all. They all exist simultaneously. And this is what they mean by all as one. There are these divisions, but they're not really. They're almost substrates of one entire whole that has different aspects, conditions, and states of existence within each aspect that is reflected on down and on up at the same time and simultaneously. It's like, and I know it sounds like a paradox, but as above, so below. Always remember that. Everything is analogical in the occult and the esoteric traditions of study. It is one of the premier principles. The other principle, the number one hermetic principle, is the universe is mental. Everything is mind. Thus, the mind is the most important thing to guard. Because if you don't guard your thoughts, and you don't guard your desires generated by those thoughts, other people will manipulate those thoughts and thus your desires and thus your actions through understanding these occult laws and utilizing them against you and and everyone else. This is exactly how our society has gotten so bad and the world is so off kilter, is that thought form generation and desire form generation has become a science. Now it's algorithmatized. Now it's all over social media platforms. Everything that you interact with in the digital sphere is almost finely tuned and designed to trigger a thought form or desire form and a reaction physically from the individual interacting with it. And now that they have so much data on all of us, they can create, specifics for each person in their content that they will find, and then have thought form generation occur, and they can basically pigeonhole you within your own thought form echo chamber and desire form echo chambers that become self-sustaining egregores. Now, what's the difference between an egregore and a thought form? Well, thought forms can be very fleeting, so can desire forms, if they are concentrated by the will. The energy will simply dissipate rather quickly. But if thoughts become supercharged with concentrated energy, and they are concentrated long enough, these start to become what are called egregores. And these are like astro-etheric forms generated by our thoughts that almost become self-sustaining and can be parasitic. In a certain sense, and in the sense that they influence you. Once they are self-sustaining, they become empowered and infused with enough energy to stick around and then influence you from your own thought patterns. Meaning they will basically be the thought pattern you just had, superpowered, to then re-influence you back into that thought pattern, if it becomes an egregore. Obviously, this presents enormous problems when most people don't have any idea that these things are even possible. This also happens when it comes to, say, like a mob, a group thought form. Group thought forms can be generated. They're generated all the time when there's like a mass or a mob or, something like that, in the street. And you get a whole bunch of people riled up and they create, they become a mob. Well, just like most mobs, most thought forms created by mobs like that are group thought forms, but they dissipate quickly, just as quickly as the mob degenerates, and disperses back into their individual natures. However, if powerful dark occultists know how to continually reiterate and refocus your attention as a group on a thought form, this becomes a very powerful, self-sustained group thought form of national, potentially, energy, which can be utilized to steer entire nations by their thought patterns that are now re-influencing, are mirroring their influence back upon themselves, those that created it. And the way to do that is to, create something like the events that occurred between 2020 and 2022. That was a serious, nearly planetary-wide, energetic, self-sustaining thought form of destruction that brought everyone back under its influence every time they said, look out, here comes the next variant. You need to go out and get this. You need to go out and take that. You need to go out or you need to separate yourself from him or her or them. People that would be seemingly totally normal again, acting normal again, when there'd be a break in the propaganda, would immediately fall right back into this hypnotic trance of fear the moment they rolled it out again. And it was just totally mind-boggling. But when you understand the nature of group thought form creation and how they can become self-sustained entities that re-influence you afterwards, that's what they did. That mind virus was a thought form that continually influenced Western and world populations over and over and over again without them being aware whatsoever that they were under their own hypnotic trance thought form influence. It was insane to behold. But they can do that with other things too. You can do that with obviously wartime propaganda. You can do that with any idea that you can produce en masse in the thoughts of groups of individuals, and then keep that as a self-sustained conceptual framework of thoughts. You can create a self-sustained entity of thought and ideology that continually brings the individuals back into the influence of that thought pattern and can just basically hold them there under its will unless it eventually dissipates from lack of interest and energy from the individuals as a group that brought it and created it together because they fell for it, so to speak. And so you can see how powerful of a tool this really is. It is one of the most powerful occult tools that the dark occultists of the world and those that desire a transhumanist world dystopian system utilize all the time to manipulate and control us en masse on the individual level and in a group level. If they can put you in a group ideologically or belief-wise and perform an inception of thought patterning, they can then generate a group thought form within the individuals that were patterned by these social engineers. And then they can basically hold you under its influence. Now, how this fully works on the occult planes, how these dark occultists maintain their relationship with this thought form entity, I'm not exactly sure of the entire dynamics of it all. But I know that it can occur, and I know that it does occur, because it's very obvious. You can see it when the level of illogical and irrationality of beliefs is so stunningly rampant that there's no other explanation, really, for that level of solidarity with certain narratives and friends, family, members of society that make no sense because they're so concentrated on that. They literally cannot break out of their own thought form paradigms because they're trapped in them. They've become trapped. They've trapped themselves, and they've also been trapped by others that know what they're doing. And this occurs all the time. So let's get a little more. Let's get a little more into the book. All right. The world of thought also consists of 7 regions of varying qualities and densities, and like the physical world, the world of thought is divided into 2 main divisions. Region of concrete thought, comprising the 4 densest regions, and the region of abstract thought, comprising the 3 regions of the finest substance. This world of thought is the central one of the five worlds from which man obtains his vehicles. Here, spirit and body meet. That's what I meant. It is also the highest of the three worlds in which man's evolution is being carried forward at the present time. The two higher worlds being practically not even, they say, in abeyance yet, so far as man is concerned, the higher, like, spiritual planes. This is the one that's in development. The mental body is in development. That's the one we're working on in the whole scheme of cosmological spiritual evolution of man. That is the current time period's focal point of spirit of our development, basically, as an ego body. We know that the materials of the chemical region used in building all physical forms. These forms are given life and power of motion by the forces in the etheric region. And some of these living forms are stirred into activity by means of the twin feelings of desire, in which we speak of an object construction in miniature. Or hold on. In the twin feelings of the desire world, the region of concrete thought furnishes the mind stuff in which ideas generated in the region of abstract thought clothe themselves as thought forms to act as regulators and balance wheels upon the impulses engendered in the desire world by the impacts of the phenomenal world. This is how they do this to us, right here. Thus, we see how the three worlds in which man is at present evolving complement one another, making a whole that shows forth the supreme wisdom of the great architect of the system to which we belong, and that we wholly reverence by the name of God, and me by the Absolute. Taking a more detailed view of the several divisions of the region of concrete thought, we find that the archetypes of physical forms, no matter to what kingdom they may belong, are found in the lowest subdivision, called the continental region. The continental region are also the archetypes of the continents, and the isles of the world corresponding to these archetypes are they fashioned. All right. When we speak of the archetypes of all the different forms in the dense world, it must not be thought that these archetypes are merely models in the same sense in which we speak of an object constructed in miniature, or in some material other than that appropriate for its proper and final use. They are not merely likenesses nor models of the forms we see about us, but are creative archetypes. Creative archetypes. That is, they fashion the forms of the physical world in their own likenesses, for often many work together to form one certain species, each archetype giving part of itself to the generation of the form. The second subdivision of the region of concrete thought is called the oceanic region, and is best described as a flowing, pulsating vitality of thought energy. All the forces that work through the four ethers, which constitute the etheric region, are there seen as an archetype. It is a stream of flowing life, pulsating through all forms as blood pulsates through the body. Here, the trained clairvoyant sees how true it is that all life is one great whole. The next region is the aerial region, is the third division of the region of concrete thought. Here we find the archetypes of desires, passions, wishes, feelings, and emotions such as we experience in the desire world proper. Here all the activities of the desire world appear as atmospheric conditions. Stuff's crazy. As the sighting of, all right, blah, blah, blah. In this atmosphere of the region of concrete thought are also pictures of the emotions of man and beast. And here comes the linchpin and the crux of the whole system, the one they use to manipulate us. The region of archetypal forces is the fourth division of the region of concrete thought. It is the central and most important region in the five worlds wherein man's entire evolution is carried on. On the one side of this region are the three highest regions of the world of thought, life spirit, and the world of divine spirit. On the other side of this region of archetypal forces are the three lower regions of the world of thought, the desire, and physical worlds. Thus, this region becomes a sort of crux, bounded on one side by the realm of spirit, and on the other by the world of forms. Worlds of form. It is a focal point where spirit reflects itself into matter. And if you can gain a manipulative control over a large body of humanities, connection and interaction with that crux point, you can completely manipulate mankind. Because they'll never know. They'll have no idea. They don't know about this stuff. As the name implies, this region is the home of the archetypal forces which direct the activity of the archetypes in the region of concrete thought. From this region, spirit works on matter in a formative manner. The forms in the lower world being reflections of the spirits in the higher world, as above, so below. The fifth region, which is the one nearest to the focusing point on the spirit side, reflects itself into the third region. And the sixth region reflects itself in the second, and the seventh region into the first. It's the same thing with the principles. Your highest and lowest principles are connected. The sixth and the second principles are reflected. The fifth and the third, and then the fourth, the one in the middle. The whole of the region of abstract thought is reflected in the world of desires. The world life spirit is reflected into the etheric region. The world of divine spirit is reflected into the chemical region. Similar concept. We must always carefully keep in mind, always, that these worlds are not placed one atop the other. They are interpenetrative. They exist simultaneously, almost like an interpenetrating superposition of planes of various causes and types of substances and densities. But they're all here simultaneously. They're all here right now, where I am. It's the same thing with your 7 bodies. They're not like separated from you. They're all here right now. You just can't see them. So, this is a breakdown of the 7 planes of abstract thought and regions of concrete thought. And of the, we can do the desire world for a second. There we go. All right. Desire stuff in the desire world persists through its 7 subdivisions or regions as material for the embodiment of desires. As the chemical region is the realm of form and uses the etheric region, and as the etheric region is the home of the forces carrying on life activities in those forms, enabling them to live, move, and propagate, so the forces in the desire world, working in the quickened, dense body, impel it to move in this or that direction based on attraction and repulsion of desired impulses. If there were only the activities of the chemical and etheric regions of the physical world, there would be forms having life, able to move, but without any incentive to move or do anything. This incentive is supplied by the cosmic forces active in the desire world and in the desire bodies. And without this activity playing through every fiber of the vital body, urging action in the direction of this or that, there would be no experience or no moral growth. No experience, no moral growth. Thus, by manipulating our desire body, they can manipulate our foundational basis of morality itself and whether it grows or degenerates. This is why these occult laws really matter. The function of the different ethers would take care of the growth of the form, but moral growth would be entirely lacking. Evolution would be an impossibility, both as to form and life, for it is only in response to the acquirements of spiritual growth that forms evolve to higher states. Spiritual growth, not technological growth, not material growth, not the growth of your wealth or your 401k. Thus, we at once see the great importance of this realm of nature. Desires, wishes, passions, and feelings express themselves in the matter of the different regions of the desire worlds. As form and feature express themselves in the chemical region of the physical world, they take forms which last for a longer or shorter time according to the intensity of the desire, wish, or feeling embodied in them. In the desire world, the distinction between the forces in the matter is not so definite as in the physical world. One might almost say that here, the ideas of force and matter are identical. It is not quite so, but we may say that to a certain extent the desire world consists of force-matter. When speaking of the matter in the desire world, it is true that it is 1 degree less dense than the matter of the physical world, but we are entertaining an entirely wrong idea if we imagine it as finer physical matter. The wrong impression, so blah, blah, that's the wrong impression. Unfortunately, all right. There we go. The law of matter in the chemical region is inertia, the tendency to remain in status quo. It takes a certain amount of force to overcome this inertia and cause a body which is at rest to move or to stop a body in motion. Not so with the matter of the desire world. That matter itself is almost like a living thing. It is in unceasing motion fluid, taking all imaginable and unimaginable forms with inconceivable facility and rapidity, at the same time coruscating and scintillating in 1,000